Welcome to the second episode of the HWCast. Hopefully in today's episode we're going to give you lots of good ideas to do over Easter. We're going to start with our favourite philosopher, Winnie the Pooh. Last week we shared a quote with you, and this week we think was an even more important one. So it makes such a difference to have someone who believes in you. And what we would like to say from the bottom of our hearts, over the last 2 weeks, we have been so proud of everyone within our school community. From the students to the parents to everyone working still within school and all the teachers supplying lessons with you at home. And we really believe in you, and we really believe that we have pulled together and shown fantastic team spirit over these last couple of weeks. And we just want to say a massive thank you. And a special mention, I think, for Year 11s, because we know how trying a time this has been. And we have been so impressed with your resilience over the last couple of weeks. So impressed with the continued work that you've shown, the continued work ethic that you've shown. Now, hopefully, those decisions by the government on Friday give you some reassurances. So you absolutely will get your grades this summer. And the colleges absolutely will accept those like they normally would have done. Now, obviously, what you won't have the opportunity to do this year, which you would have done in previous years, is go for an induction day at the college in June time. So what we're going to do this week is going to put together a video on choices about those of you who are still a little unsure about what you want to do next year. So moving forward, Year 11, your GCSEs have now effectively finished. So what we're going to do after Easter is we're going to start preparing some work for you for post GCSEs. So you are still very much a big part of our community, and we want to make sure that you're prepared as possible for the next step. So a team of us are going to put some work together for you that will hopefully ensure that you are as prepared as you possibly can be for that next step in your academic life. So in the last video, we talked about how this Easter period very much needs to be as normal a holiday as possible. We absolutely want to re-emphasize that point. This is your holiday period. So we want you to make sure that you spend time with your family. We want you to make sure you spend time with your friends online in a safe way. And we want to make sure you're doing things that you're enjoying. This is your time to switch off and just relax. What we are going to do, though, is give you some ideas about how you might want to relax. Obviously, this is a strange holiday period because you are going to need to stay at home. You are going to need to stay safe. So we've got to think of different ways that we can enjoy ourselves over this period of time without going out. And what we want to start with is the idea of the magic of reading. I cannot emphasize enough how powerful and how magical reading a book can be. And we've talked about one of our other great philosophers, Winnie the Pooh, but here's another one of my absolute favorites, Dr. Seuss. So reading can take you places you have never been before. Now, obviously, we are limited physically in terms of where we can go over this 2-week period. However, our imaginations are limitless. And next week, what we're going to do in our cast is the senior prefect team are going to offer up some of their ideas of their favourite books. So, in addition to reading, what we've also got is some brilliant films and TV programmes on over the next couple of weeks. So, in addition to this cast, we've also today got Flu's Views, and Mr. Llewellyn has put together a brilliant piece on some of the best films and TV programmes that are on over the next couple of weeks.
Hello everyone, Mr. Llewellyn here with some obvious and not so obvious suggestions of things to watch over the Easter holidays. Right, first off, let's have a look at normal television or terrestrial television, the type of television that includes channels such as BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, the channels that we should all be able to get free if we have a TV licence. I guess because I'm a media studies teacher, people often ask me what I think is the best film of all time. That is an incredibly difficult question to answer, obviously. One of the films that I would answer as being one of my favourite films of all time is on Good Friday this week. It is Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first of the Indiana Jones films. And then as a special treat, the BBC are showing the rest of the Indiana Jones films over the rest of the weekend. Some people would say Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the second film on Easter Saturday, is the better film of the series. That one's a lot darker, a bit more violent, a bit scarier. A lot of people really like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade as well, which is on Sunday, and features Sean Connery as Indy's dad. That's a great film. Nobody ever has said that Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best anything. But it still might be worth a watch if you've watched the other three. Here are some other suggestions then of things to watch on normal television if you still do that type of thing, especially if you still watch television with your families and sit there feeling awkward and embarrassed when the rude bits happen. On Easter Saturday, Channel 5 are showing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the classic family musical. Interestingly, it's a family musical written by Roald Dahl, author of children's books and various creepy stories, and is the only film made by the producers of the James Bond films that is not a James Bond film. The original book for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was written by Ian Fleming, who is the writer of the James Bond books, and they got the rights to the book at the same time as buying the James Bond books. So Saltzman and Broccoli, the makers of the James Bond films, also made Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. If you're feeling in a James Bond mood, which is a typical convention really of the British bank holiday weekend, then Live and Let Die is on Easter Saturday on ITV4 at 5:35. It's the first Roger Moore James Bond film, and would be a useful bit of revision for media studies students. But if you don't fancy that kind of classic film, then a true modern classic is on Film 4 on Easter Saturday at 5 p.m, which is the absolutely wonderful version of Paddington with an all-star cast. Absolutely lovely film. Can't recommend that one enough. My suggestion for Easter Sunday is the film Bumblebee, which is the sixth Transformers film, but doesn't require any knowledge of any of the others and is arguably the first good Transformers film, although the first one's not that bad. Bit of a classic feel to it, actually. Feels very 80s, very Steven Spielberg, set in the 80s, sort of good old-fashioned family film, really, back to basics. That is not bad and worth a watch. A classic suggestion for Easter Monday, which is The Princess Bride, which is showing on a channel called W down the far end of your digital channels at 4:55 p.m. It's still a free channel. It's a comedy fantasy movie based on the novel of the same name by William Goldman, which is really worth reading if you want a suggestion for a book to read. If you have seen the sort of children's version of Deadpool 2 called Once Upon a Deadpool, the 12A rated version of Deadpool 2, and you didn't quite understand what was going on, the jokes will make much more sense if you watch The Princess Bride. Jurassic World is also on ITV2 at 6:35 p.m. That is always worth a watch. Some suggestions then for streaming channels, starting with some suggestions on Amazon and Netflix of some sort of more obscure things that you might not think to watch. If you've never watched any Studio Ghibli films, I really recommend having a look at those. Wonderful sort of fairy tale fantasies. Spirited Away is the really popular one of those. There's a version of Howl's Moving Castle as well and things like that on there. But I really enjoy Arrietty, but all of those films are beautiful if you have a look at sort of that list of animation that is available on Netflix. And talking of animation, Netflix has sort of become the home of the Dragons, the DreamWorks Dragons. I'm a big fan of these films. There are some animated series of sort of Dragon Rider episodes and things like that available on DreamWorks. One of the occasions where maybe the films are better than the books. I do enjoy the books, but I really do enjoy the films. How to Train Your Dragon, the original. When was the last time you watched that? Perhaps this is the opportunity to revisit that film. I've not seen this myself, but I hear very good things about the chilling adventures of Sabrina, based on the comic book character that first appeared in Archie comics and was made popular by a sort of American teen comedy when I was a when I was younger, so goodness knows how long ago that was. But I hear good things about Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I think it sort of has a Buffy the Vampire twist, a little bit darker, probably more for our older viewers. Moving on to Amazon, there's some great stuff on there as well. Lots of Neil Gaiman stuff. Neil Gaiman, the writer of books and comics and various films and TV series. I really enjoyed the adaptation of Good Omens, which was a book that Neil Gaiman wrote with Terry Pratchett, which I've always found a very funny book that I've always enjoyed. I thought the TV series was great. It's got mixed reviews. Why not give it a look and see what you think? I was absolutely delighted when I saw that they were doing a new TV series based on The Tick, which was a cartoon series in the 90s, which I really enjoyed and is a comic book that I've always enjoyed. It's a comedy series set in the world of superheroes, sort of having a little sly wink at some of the silliness of superhero films and TV series. Again, probably more suitable for our older viewers. Obviously, so much to choose from on these streaming channels and loads of classic things on there. But what about Fantastic Mr. Fox, the adaptation of the classic Roald Dahl book? Maybe my favourite Roald Dahl book. Difficult one, that one. But it's a quirky film, bit unusual, but worth a watch. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark has just started streaming on Amazon. I might give this a watch myself over the weekend or the week ahead. I've not seen it myself, but it's based on a children's book, sort of children's horror book that I remember reading when I was younger. And it's directed by Guillermo del Toro, and I always enjoy his films, so I might give that a look. I know many families have taken the plunge with the very conveniently timed release of the Disney Plus streaming service, as much as anything so that people can now legally watch The Mandalorian, the Star Wars TV series, one of the most expensive television series ever made. In my opinion, the money very well spent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, mixed reviews, but give it a look, see what you think. It is definitely worth a look. But what's nice on the Disney Plus, as with all of the channels, is just those little obscure things that are worth a watch. I've really enjoyed the documentary series The World According to Jeff Goldblum, where the actor sort of takes a quirky look at different aspects of life, looking at the history of things like trainers and ice cream. It's been good fun. Another slightly more unusual recommendation, one of the things streaming on Disney Plus, is Disney's Gargoyles. Probably the most underrated and possibly the greatest animated series of all time. Cannot recommend that enough. Other less obvious recommendations on Disney Plus would include classic Disney animation, probably one of the darkest of the Disney classics, The Black Cauldron, and one of my absolute favourites, The Great Mouse Detective, or Basil the Great Mouse Detective as it was known in this country. Two great animated films that are less well known than some of the others, but just as good. A surprisingly good show, and one you may not have considered, is Marvel's Runaways, based on the comic book and set in the Marvel Universe, about a group of teen characters who discover that their parents are villains. It seems to have become available on lots of different platforms. It's available on Disney Plus, for example, and also on Amazon. Moving on to BBC iPlayer then, it's worth remembering that BBC iPlayer is free to pretty much everybody in this country who has paid their TV licence, and there's all manner of stuff on there going back through the years. There's often films that have been shown on the BBC over the last few weeks as well, so it's always worth checking the film page. Anyone who knows me knows that any list of recommendations is bound to include something Doctor Who related. It's been 15 years since Doctor Who restarted again after its break. Why not use this time of shutdown and lockdown to catch up with some Doctor Who? Maybe even go back to the beginning in the first episode, Rose, or if you fancy watching something about a different kind of lockdown during the Blitz, the episode The Empty Child is definitely worth a watch. In a similar creepy and British kind of way, the new version of Wurzel Gummidge is worth a look. And if you've never seen Upstart Crow, it's very funny and will be ideal for anyone who misses Blackadder. That's for older viewers. One of the hidden gems on iPlayer, and an absolutely ideal resource for anyone studying media studies or those who are leaving us going on to study film studies or something similar at college. There's an absolutely brilliant series of short documentaries called Inside Cinema, which over about 3 to 5 minutes each one looks at a different aspect of films. There's stuff about horror films, there's stuff about cartoons, there's stuff about toy ranges based on films. There's all manner of stuff on there. It's absolutely brilliant for learning trivia knowledge for quiz questions. If you want to give it a quick look, have a look at the episode on the Wilhelm scream, which I think is episode 12, just to see the type of thing that this is offering. It's a really good watch. So the last suggestions from me are 2 suggestions on YouTube, although there's quite a lot of this stuff being made available. Loads of things being put out there that we'd normally have to pay for. I know various bands have put out whole concerts and streaming stuff live and things like that. The National Theatre is making plays available. So from Thursday to Thursday, so until this Thursday, the play One Man, Two Governors, starring James Corden, which I haven't seen, but it's supposed to be very funny. So I'm going to be giving this a watch. That is being made available this week. From Thursday the 16th, the recent production of Treasure Island, starring Arthur Darvill, which has got good reviews, and obviously will be particularly relevant to those that have had to read Treasure Island and study Treasure Island recently, so that should be really interesting. So there you have it then, a few bits and bobs, a few suggestions of the types of things that are out there that you might find interesting in the world of media. I hope everyone is staying well, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.
So in addition to Flu's Views, our brilliant senior prefect team have also put together some of their ideas for favourite TV programmes that you should enjoy over the next few weeks.
Number 1 is The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is a Star Wars live action TV show. It is set after Star Wars Episode 6 and before Episode 7. In this show, a bounty hunter named the Mandalorian stumbles upon a strange green alien, Baby Yoda, and fights to protect it from other bounty hunters. At number 2, we have Gavin and Stacey. This is a real feel-good show, and if you're looking for a laugh, Gavin and Stacey is the show for you. 2 people fall in love and create an unbreakable friendship between 2 families from Wales and London who never stop laughing together. James Corden stars, so if you're a fan of his, you'll love this show. He's hilarious in it. Number 3 is Once Upon a Time. This is about a land where fairy tale characters have been sent and made to forget about their old lives. However, it does not last its way forever as a young boy becomes suspicious. If you're into fantasy, I would definitely recommend this show and give it a watch. At number 4, we have Friends. It's pretty obvious by the title, but this show is about a group of friends and the obstacles and the romance they face along the way. I guarantee this show will have you laughing the entire time and would definitely recommend this to anyone. Number 5 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. This programme is about a police department in New York and the day-to-day lives of the police officers in the 99th precinct. It's very witty, interesting and entertaining, and season 6 has just landed on Netflix, so go check it out. Number 6 is You. This story follows a stalker who uses social media to find women. He seems normal at first, but things turn dark when he becomes very obsessive and paranoid. If you like thrillers and crime, you will love this.
Supergirl. Supergirl is a TV show based on the DC superheroes Supergirl and Superman. The 5-series show stars Melissa Benoist playing the show's protagonist Kara Zor-El, or Kara Danvers in The Humanoid. She is just an assistant to a busy media company owner, but Kara has a secret. Kara is a biological cousin of Superman who hid her powers until she needed to save her adopted sister in National City. With 102 episodes released, it is an amazing show I would recommend.
Number 8 is Riverdale. This is an American teen drama series that follows the lives of a group of teenagers who uncover mysteries within the town of Riverdale and face many dangers along the way. The storylines are always interesting, you're always left on the edge of your seat, but it still incorporates the fun of being a teenager. Number 9 is The Vampire Diaries. This show follows the life of Eleanor Gilbert, a teenage girl who has just lost both her parents. She falls in love with a vampire, Stefan Salvatore. He has an older brother, Damon Salvatore, and both brothers protect Eleanor as they face various villains and threats to their own town. Number 10 is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. A wealthy family living in Bel Air, California, receives a surprise from their poorer relations living in Philadelphia. Their nephew, Will Smith, arrives. When he is causing trouble back home, he is sent to live a wealthier life and learn respect and discipline. This show is hilarious, and Will Smith plays it so well, so make sure you take a look.
In addition to that, one of my favourite segments is the Harrow Way competitions. Now, we talked in the last episode that the competition for the House Cup is heating up. And I know that Miss Fowler, Mr. Manson and Mrs. Hamilton are still very, very competitive and very much want to win the House Cup this year. So we've got here some ideas about competitions that you can enter over the next couple of weeks. And every entry comes with points. So our first competition is Ready, Steady, Cook. Are you a red tomato or are you a green pepper? Our challenge is for you to plan and cook an evening meal for your family. We would love to see what you can rustle up from your store cupboards, your ingredients, be it a pasta bake or maybe a tasty pie. There are some websites here that you could use for recipe ideas. In addition, an extra challenge could be that you want to try and make the meal as nutritionally balanced as possible. What we'd like you to do, once you've made your meal, is to tweet us a picture at Harrow Way, or for you to email your ideas to Mrs. Law. The deadline for all entries is going to be Tuesday the 14th of April. Our brilliant science team have also put together a series of challenges that I'm going to be emailing out to you. I'm going to give you a taster in a minute, but we again would like all your entries to be uploaded onto the Google Classroom so we can award house points and that competition keeps going. So here's a taster of one of the challenges. This is the Sir David Attenborough challenge, the man, the myth, the legend. And there are 5 questions, top moments. Question 1, what attracts the visitors to the Antarctic? Question 2, what type of fish does a shoebill try to catch in the swamp? Question 3, how many months have the bears been waiting for salmon? Question 4, name 3 predators trying to catch the sardines. And question 5, what is the largest seal in the world? The brilliant maths team have also been putting together some very intriguing challenges with a chocolate theme. What again I will do is email these out because they're too large to include just within this, but we're going to give you a slight taster. So this is one of the challenges. Can you work out these maths and Easter chocolate anagrams? There will be a point for each of them. Thank you very much for joining us for this second edition of the HWCast. We hope you've enjoyed some of these ideas and we look forward to seeing you next week.